Hey everyone! So today's video is on Attack on Titan. So I'm going to touch upon the Akatsuki No Requiem ending, the true ending, and my thoughts on both. So I'm a tad late to the game. Most videos on this topic came out a day or two after the final chapter was published. But if you're like me, instead of postulating your own thoughts on the matter, you just sat back and enjoyed the ceremonious burning of r/titanfolk for a week or so. Man, I'm gonna miss those guys. But as an anime fan, I'd be remiss if I didn't drop my own 2 cents about one of the most influential anime to grace Western culture. Only time will tell if it can carry the torch the same way DBZ and One Piece have, but either way, I think we can all agree that, alongside others, Attack on Titan was one of those special anime that really brought the States into the fold of accepting it as a mainstream medium. Like when you met up with fellow nerds, you'd see the usual Sailor Moons, Kiritos, Ryuks, but then the first season of AOT dropped and bam! Conventions everywhere, you'd see cadet uniforms by the thousands. Titan fans came in waves. They even outnumbered the furries, guys.
I was there, Gandalf.
Anime growing from completely niche to normal has definitely happened in my lifetime. And with the rise of My Hero Academia, Mob Psycho, and Demon Slayer, it only seems to be growing at an exponential rate. I never thought I'd live to see the day that anime YouTubers got big like gamers, or that I'd walk into a Hot Topic and see more merch from one single anime than the all-encompassing empire that is Disney. Attack on Titan was just one of those big cultural movers, like the Tesla stock of anime. And over time, I've come to develop a massive respect for what it is and the undeniable impact it's had on our community as a whole. With that said, let's bitch about the ending. Here's what I'm going to cover in today's video. The popular ANR ending, Eren and Mikasa's canonicity, Armin's character regression, my own original predictions, and my final thoughts on the true canon ending. Warning, there will be spoilers. Don't say I didn't warn you. So before we jump into the new stuff of the manga, we gotta catch up to the point where the season 4 anime ended off. I'm feeling feisty today, so I think I'm gonna do it to Billy Joel's We Didn't Start the Fire. Here we go. Molly War, training star, don't know who these people are. Island Devils, ODM, history is wrong. Assholes, please let Reiner die. Titans falling from the sky. Child abuse and building trains. Levi is still short. Bullets fly, Sasha dies. Armin simps a block of ice. Beast Titan throws a ball just for daddy's love. Eren in the mirror fight, then he makes Mikasa cry. Pike is now a top wife, please don't drink the wine. Warhammer's death row, Niccolo please slap that hoe. Screaming makes the Titans grow, Flock is now a Chad. We didn't start the rumbling, it was always burning. I don't know what that was, but I'm owning it. Anyway, the first thing I wanted to talk about is an ending that became aggressively popular on Reddit, and that is the Akatsuki No Requiem theory, or ANR for short. If you're not familiar with it, the short version is this. Linked Horizon, the band that does a lot of music for Attack on Titan, made a very interesting music video. The lyrics and visuals have heavy parallels to Titan's storyline, and therefore the way it was presented led a lot of viewers to believe it was a secret way of Iseyama revealing the ending to us. So everyone came into this video ready for the world of lore it was gonna uncover, and Iseyama took one look at us and said,
you got a pen? You want to write this down? Get fucked.
Naturally, when that ending didn't happen, the community got mad. So I'll just hit on some key points of the ANR and why I do or don't think it works. In the description, I'll link the Reddit post I saw on the matter if you want a more precise explanation. It's very in-depth. So in literal terms, Akatsuki means dawn or daybreak, and Requiem is a mass for the dead. So it's kind of a dawn of the dead or dawn of humanity type of thing. The short way of putting it is this. Eren finds out on his journey that the only way to save the Eldian people and end the war is to kill his friends in the opposition and finish what he started. Ultimately, he returns after it's all over, and he has to live the remainder of his life with the guilt and weight of his decision. Eren wins, essentially. Let's cover the video and how it ties into the theory. I'm gonna be as quick and concise as possible, but we still got a lot to cover. So in this, there's a fuzzball, which actually looks more like an inverted flower to me, since it has petals. This is meant to represent young Eren. And there is also a snake, who is post-rumbling Eren. The fuzzball is on a hill next to a sapling tree. He sees a snake nearby, older Eren, leaving flowers on a gravestone. Blue petals float by, and one touches the fuzzball, lighting one of his petals blue. I'll touch more on the meaning of this momentarily. Next we see a flash of the Ouroboros, a snake eating its own tail, which is a symbol of infinite repetition. But when we cut to the tombstone he's standing at, the snake is not eating its tail, indicating that his heinous acts ultimately did break the cycle. Older snake Eren then collapses to his knees and weeps, causing the younger version to feel bad for him. The lyrics then say, "The flowers lost its petals in this night." We're led to assume the petals represent the alliance of Levi and the others, who will die attempting to stop Eren's rumbling. This is confirmed again later. Next we see a city floating in the air, guarded by two birds. The snake Eren is now, a symbol of his betrayal to his friends, removes his face, revealing that he is actually a bird, a creature desiring flight and freedom, his true self. The two of them enter the Sky City, where older Eren comes home to his family. We're going to assume this is Historia and their child. Once alone in his study, the bird collapses again. This time young Eren reaches out to comfort him, but once they touch, it triggers a vision. We see his adult self drawing an arrow while a crying civilian begs for their life, holding someone else he already killed. Some postulate this to be the little boy Ramsey, but who could say for sure? Younger Eren shakes and realizes it was him all along who caused this terror. He's shown the bloodstained buildings, the result of the destruction he will cause. Let's jump back to the petals. These seem to be tied to the memories of his friends, since they blow by from time to time and remain on their gravestones. Blue petals are also known for representing something that is unreachable. In this case, it would be Armin's diplomacy, the naive idea that peace can be reached without violence. Which is what leads me to believe that the grave he was standing at was Armin's. The petal blew past older Eren from the gravestone to child Eren, tinting one of his own petals blue, in the same way Armin's vision of the outside world acted as a catalyst for all of these events in the first place. It's all Armin's fault, guys. Just kidding. I thought it could have been Mikasa or even Eren's mother too, but the fact that the blue petal flutters to young Eren and sticks there for the rest of the video, I feel like that means something. And the only thing that drove that railroad spike of tenacity through Eren's central cortex was Armin's dream of the outside world. I could be totally off base. It could be a symbol of the peaceful other life he might have had with Mikasa, or even something else. But hey, I think it's up for interpretation. It's art, damn it! But anyway, in the destruction, a group of blue petals gather on a large arrow, the Alliance opposing a force beyond their ken, Eren's rumbling, and they fade to gray and fall to the ground one by one, leaving cracks in their wake. In a heated rage, young Eren begins to grow arrows all over his body, and takes a hold of one in his hand before we cut back to the graveyard. Present Eren is back to wearing his snake mask. However, the graves are much more numerous this time, indicating the rumbling has already occurred. Young Eren clutches at the arrow, perhaps contemplating killing the bird. This is where the lyrics come in. They've held deeper meanings all along the way as well, but we'll be here all day if I dove into each line. He says, "I wish for once you'll get to rest peacefully when dawn breaks. And if one day my wish would come true, and all this interweaving fate is finally severed, then my dear friend, let us meet again at dawn in a world without walls." Now, I'm not 100% on what this means. It could be Eren telling his younger self not to go through with it, but it could also just be him speaking to his fallen comrades, knowing that he'll join them soon, be that through old age or the curse of Ymir taking him. Young Eren turns to face the tree behind him, which is no longer a sapling. This might be the coordinate or the paths where all the Eldian people connect, or it could just be the literal tree he wakes up under at the series beginning. Child Eren takes one last look at the city in the sky and drops the arrow, accepting his fate. Phew, a lot to unpack, am I right? So, translation. Eren returns to the past in the paths, and accidentally or on purpose, I don't know, encounters his younger self and reveals the future. Now, I don't know if it was to reveal what must be done, or to try and stop him and allow him to live a peaceful life. I think it depends on who you're talking to and how they wanted it to unfold. Can you imagine? him regretting it all, showing his younger self all the things that would happen if he followed his destructive path to freedom, only to have him wake up from the dream and remember none of it, and then to fall into the same trap of tragedy. That would be beautiful, but heartbreaking. There are 2 more details you need to know about this ending. The first is that we must operate under the assumption that Eren hates Mikasa, like he said he did. Or at the very least, doesn't love her. Because his motivation for betraying all the people he loves would swing in favor of the child he has with Historia. And that kid is who he's resetting the Earth for, an heir to pass his freedom to and carry on his will. Now, what do I think of this ending? I think it's great from a writing standpoint. I think it's sound, tragic, and poetic. But nah, though. I'll tell you why. I don't think it aligns with Eren's character properly. Now, before you get mad and click out, I think the true ending was just as out of character for Eren as this one, but I'll get to that. The reason I think Eren wouldn't go full ANR is this. I just don't see Eren betraying his friends in this hostile a manner. Even quite recently, he wouldn't even let any of his friends inherit his Titan because he wanted them to live full, healthy lives. But as for the random Eldian who would get it later, he didn't seem to care or give it much thought. I think this alone is proof enough that he wouldn't behave this way just for the sake of the Eldian people. Now, I don't believe that's the argument ANR is trying to make. The complication at work here is that Eren would do it for his own future child with Historia. But after his out-of-sight, out-of-mind mentality about the Eldians, I find it hard to believe that he'd have such an intense level of attachment to a child he hasn't even seen yet. I acknowledge parenthood is a completely different animal, but let's logic through this. Eren's priorities are as follows. 1, my freedom, Eren's ability to do whatever he wants. 2, my loved ones and their freedom. And 3, our childhood dreams of exploring the outside world without prejudice or inhibition. Let's say he does choose this child over his friends on an importance scale. I can accept that. But I don't see him actually hating his friends enough to want to kill them head on. If baby Eren really is the top priority, I feel like Eren would have been more likely to pick a timeline where his friends stay out of harm's way as much as possible. These are the people who built him up and fought by his side for years. He wouldn't be who he is today without their influence. Eren is hard-headed and unyielding, but not heartless. He's aware of this. But in the manga, he clearly baited them to fight him. At the time, I thought it was clear that his intent was for them to defeat him, even before we knew the ending. So I can believe he's fairly apathetic to Jean, maybe even Connie and Sasha, considering he didn't even mourn her death. It's not out of the realm of possibility he hates Armin after his merger with Bertold, nor is it impossible that he harbors animosity for Mikasa because of her nature. It's just unlikely. But he probably wouldn't hate Levi unless it was for the same reason as Mikasa, Ackerman design and all that, but it's a tiny bit of a stretch. And he probably doesn't hate Hanji. The main question that arises here is, does Eren hate the concept of enslavement so much that he'd rather kill his own friends in the opposition than just safely shuffle them to the side for an hour while he destroys the Earth? And the answer is, maybe. But if there was even a fraction of a risk they would win and trample his freedom, I don't think Eren is above being underhanded enough to manipulate them for a short period of time. Since he's obviously fine with doing it to the former Titan shifters in the final confrontation, bending them to his and Ymir's will and fighting against his friends. This same discrepancy arises in the actual tactics of his plan. If all he wanted was to preserve their autonomy while winning, he would have planned a contingency, maybe extended his Warhammer abilities deep under the sea where they couldn't reach, or put up a double wall of colossals between him and the Alliance. So because of these reasons, I think Eren would go like 95% ANR, but not full ANR. He wouldn't hate his friends enough to bait them in the paths and kill them on purpose when he could have manipulated them and kept them safe, securing his own victory in the process. He just isn't that sadistic in nature. Even if we did make the jump and assume he wanted them dead, he would have lured them away from parity and fought them at full strength, all the colossals, and got them out of the way before he completed his mission. So this ending isn't a big misalignment with who Eren is, it just feels a little off. That's just my opinion. I feel though like his true feelings for Mikasa, for better or for worse, are the key to which direction this ending must go. And that brings us to the next topic of today's video. Eremika's canonicity. I know I'm not the only person who made this face when Eren dropped his undying love for Mikasa in the final chapter. Now, am I against Eremika as a pairing? No, not at all. However, from a writing standpoint, it didn't feel terribly organic to me. Now, you might question me for saying this, but historically speaking, Eren has shown more emotional interest in Armin than Mikasa. Hang tight, let me elaborate. As a straight girl, I do not inherently look for gay pairings. I don't have an issue with them, but I don't think to look for them unless they're presented very clearly, like Ymir and Historia. I ain't a yaoi girl. But don't look at my browser history though. When I first watched season 1, I did think Eremika would be a thing eventually, but then I read the manga. Eren and Armin have a thing in the manga, and it was so blatant I couldn't overlook it. Suddenly it was Armin pulling Eren out of the Titan, not Mikasa. In the injured scene, Mikasa sits next to Eren's bed, Armin sits on it. Eren openly hugs Armin and holds his hand to comfort him. Does he do this to Mikasa? No, he headbutts her in the face! But Eren and Armin are constantly drawn through the eyes of the other, with characters in between them not being drawn at all half the time. And I know it's not a lapse in art or laziness, because it only happens between these two. They only see each other a lot. And a plethora of panels are heavily focused on the emotion pulled from watching the other act. That is just not present for Eren and Mikasa. From her standpoint, sure, but not Eren's. With Eren and Armin, it's completely 50-50. Not to mention, on multiple occasions, other cadets like Reiner and Jean comment on how eerily attached to each other they are. They think it's creepy or gross. Ha! Gay! Do I ship Eren and Armin? No, because I'm not a big shipper in general. But you gotta admit, once you start to notice these things, you won't be able to unsee them. Imagine that, as Armin lost interest and absorbed the affections of the enemy, Eren turned to the closest thing physically he could get to Armin. Historia. Wouldn't that be something? Not better, necessarily, but something. But quite honestly, in the anime, Eren even had a bit more chemistry with Historia than Mikasa. They started to bond after her true identity was revealed. I really wanted Eremika to work, but I think we just needed one more moment between them that wasn't ambiguous from Eren's point of view. They did have one, and that was right after Hannes died, when he said he would always wrap her scarf. That was the one singular moment where I believed, maybe Eren does reciprocate Mikasa's feelings. But we don't get another occurrence. Later on, when he asked her what he is to her, if he had just done it while adjusting her scarf or touching her hair, any trace of affection whatsoever, I would have bought it. But literally the entire series was Mikasa doting and Eren bitching about it. Eren is written as an open and passionate person most of the time, so it's really hard for me to believe that he never once let his feelings slip in one way or another. That is, unless he didn't realize he loved her until much later in the series. But the moment they had right before he activated the coordinate leads me to believe otherwise, so I'm just not fully buying it, I'm sorry. Since we were just on the topic of Armin, let's talk about his role in the final arc and why it's one of my main gripes with the series. I love Armin, I do. He's my favorite after Hanji. Not to mention his season 4 glow-up was sufficient enough to make my ovaries explode. Look at that beta boy pinned to a table. 10 out of 10, wood top. But he began to wear on me the further into season 4 we got. Please tell me I'm not alone in this. Armin's character progression definitely peaked at the end of season 3. Because in season 4 he starts losing initiative and becoming kind of whiny. Now there is a canon reason for that. Perhaps Bertold was influencing his priorities and emotions like Eren predicted. But I mean, we went through this at the beginning of season 1, and again at the end of season 3. Why are we doing this dance again? I'm useless, I can't replace Erwin.
Wah, all right.
It's like Iseyama had to regress him to pre-episode 10 just so he could redevelop him back into episode 10 Armin. Even the visuals are the same. I get it, really. As someone who has high ambitions but is very limited in physical abilities, I can empathize with relapses in one's sense of purpose. I have a mini crisis every few years or so. So if Armin is anything like me, the timing of his meltdown checks out. But not only is he relatively useless in his own eyes, but in everyone else's too. Can we talk about the fact that Yelena just sent his twink ass out the cage and into ODM gear, going up against airships with guns, explosives, and the cart titan? Seriously, did they just forget they had another titan shifter?
While Danny kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet and Euron's forces.
Are they not worried at all about Marley taking hold of the Colossal? Because that's a big fucking deal! Eldia deserves to lose the war if they don't even make use of their most destructive asset. Granted, Parody can just rumble it up if he dies, but Eren is a flight risk, and Zeke may have ulterior motives they're not privy to. Armin is just a safer bet, strategically speaking, and it just seems like a colossal oversight to me. To be honest, though, I actually liked how he got through to Connie by attempting to sacrifice himself in exchange for his mother. It was sad, but that act definitely aligned with who he is as a person. Any further issues I have with him towards the end are less direct, but more tied into the expectations I had for him. So let's talk about my own ending predictions. Maybe I'm a pleb, but dating quite a while back, I had subscribed to the time loop theory. Remember that? That was like 7 years ago, guys. But I didn't take it the way the original posters did. I did not think Eren was a time traveler from 2,000 years in the future. See, what I thought would happen is that they would eventually discover the only way to truly release Ymir is if all the 9 split titans were united once again into one. Meaning, Eren would have to consume all the remaining titan shifters. Now, I didn't actually think that would happen. I actually thought at some point Armin would meet Eren in the paths, and when that scene began, I was like, this is it! And I thought Armin would be the one to outsmart Eren's destructive plans because he's the only one who understood him throughout the whole series. Even realizing he lied when he said he hated Mikasa when she and everyone else believed it. I was convinced Armin was going to retake the Founder from Eren through either mind games or just negotiation, and the only way he could keep Eren from destroying the world across all timelines would be to trap all Eldians within a time loop. It's not technically genocide or the euthanasia plan, so as hard as it would be for him, it would still be the utilitarian decision he'd have to make. Alternatively, he could have brought all the Eldians into the paths and wiped their memories, allowing them to live peacefully in a simulation of sorts, safe away from the rest of the world. But keep in mind, when I formulated this theory, we really didn't understand the paths or how it worked, nor did we have any idea of Ymir or her own role in this. I'm not going to pretend like my idea is any kind of comparable to the thought put into the ANR ending, but you can see with how high my expectations were for Armin, why I'd be hella disappointed in how useless he ultimately was in the final showdown. I mean, he carried the plot for the first 3 seasons, catalyzed Eren's drive with his vision, recaptured Trost, saved the cadets by getting the gas tanks, figured out the identity of Annie and planned her capture, found Reiner's hiding place, and tricked Bertold so Eren could capture him.
We only got this far because of Armin! I can't save humanity, and neither can the commander! But Armin can!
You're goddamn right.
He played the single biggest role in taking down all 3 of the original Titan shifters. And in the end, he was like, so baseball and leaves, huh? You must have noticed, as well as I, that they built Armin up as humanity's last hope, the new light to carry on Erwin's dream. But then he, didn't. It was Mikasa, always, because love or something. Now, finally, let's go over how I felt about the true ending the glorious Iseyama gifted to us. It could have been better. I think as far as events go, piece by piece, the tone stayed consistent with the rest of the series, except that random bout of Eren confessing. Let's break it down. So the first bomb dropped in the last chapter was that Eren killed 80% of humanity in the rumbling. And my question is, how? Like, Marley wasn't that far away. Did he literally have all the other Titans, like, sprinting the other direction to trap Marley from the other side? And if so, why? Marley was the true enemy here. The only country actively attacking Eldians. Can we talk about poor Azumabito? They were an ally all along, even if it was only for personal gain. These people got killed by your Jaegerists, and before that they brought your country out of the Stone Age. So you're telling me you trampled them before Marley? And then let most of Marley live in the end? What the hell, Eren? Why would you do that? Logistically, it makes no sense. Kill everyone except your actual enemies. No! Stupid! Bullshit! Bomb number 2. 3 seconds later, Ymir was always in love with King Fritz, and she was waiting for Mikasa to free her from the pain of her love. Okay, I guess. I don't really have a major opinion on this. It did take me a few minutes to piece together the choice, but I was able to figure out that Mikasa's choice to finally throw away her feelings of love and her entire reason for living was what Ymir was looking for. Bomb 3. Eren caused his own mother's death and let Bertold live to spark this course of events. I'm gonna be honest, this happened so fast I didn't even know it happened. I only found out about it when I watched Totally Not Mark's video on the ending. We blitzed through that, man. Bomb number 4. Armin just asking gently why Eren had to go that far over genocide, but when it comes to Mikasa's feelings, that crossed a line? Really? Coming from you, who snapped at her a few chapters ago? Mr. Think for yourself for a change. Mikasa has been the series punching bag since the time skip. I didn't see you punching anyone up till now, Armin. Bomb 5. Abrupt confession about Eren's love for Mikasa. I would have actually liked this in the final chapter, but the execution. I think it could have been done in a more somber, heartbreaking way, and less Eren whining on the ground about it like a petulant child. Like Kid or Season 1 Eren totally would have acted like this, but present Eren, after he learned the future, probably wouldn't say it this way. I like the moment of weakness, unloading his burden to his best friend, but why'd it have to be so unsophisticated? Like, I swear, he made that exact same face when his mom was like, you have to go chop firewood. That's an, I don't want a mom face, not an, I'm deeply mourning the lifetime loss of the one person I love more than anyone else face. Bomb 6. This one sent me. Armin thanks him for the genocide? He literally says, thanks for becoming a mass murderer. That isn't even what Armin would say. He might say something like, it means a lot that you would commit such transgressions on noble grounds. And though I can't say I condone the blood you spilt on our behalf, I can at least thank you as a friend. I'll do my best not to let your sacrifice be in vain. We'll build a life, a new life, on the earth you won for us. But no, thank you Hitler for being Hitler because you became Hitler for us, bro. That's what he said. Like, am I the only one who thinks their character voices don't sync up in this chapter to the canon of who they are? Okay, we're through the thick of it. Now, I absolutely loved the Scout's final salute and Sasha. That was probably my favorite and the most powerful moment in the chapter. And I love the ending, actually. With the bird wrapping the scarf around Mikasa. We went through the 3-year exposition real fast, but I was kind of okay with that. So, final thoughts. I have to say, as much as I like critiquing media, I would never have the audacity to say that I could write anything close to the masterpiece that Iseyama has given us. Overall, Attack on Titan is still one of my top favorite manga of all time, and I don't anticipate that changing anytime soon. However, it is a bit sad to me that we didn't end on the strong emotional high note that the community was hoping for. The final chapter, though not bad as a whole, left us no room to breathe or let the weight of each bombshell sink in. As with most series, pacing is everything, and even AOT could not escape its vice like jaws. I stand by that the ending is not bad, just rushed. And I hope you can look at this objectively. Titan is still a fantastic and hype experience for new viewers. And we don't know how MAPPA will pace the finale when the last season airs next year. So now is not the time to lose hope. If you're still here with me at the end of this video, leave a comment that says Armin rules, and I will know that you are my true homies. Before you go, don't forget to like and subscribe, it really means a lot to me, and I will see you guys next week for more weeb content.